Woo! Think we did it. Good morning and welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Blind Run on the internet and Matthew in real life. Today is no gi class for jiu-jitsu, so I'm already prepared so I can leave directly from here. Hence the rash guard. But it doesn't fit that good. You know what I mean? I gotta it's all weird. So it's okay. We'll just look like we got titties today. All right. So today we got Bitcoin Bank Custodia sues the Federal Reserve. ApeCoin is probably going to remain on Ethereum as an ERC20 token as opposed to creating their own chain. And that should cause a huge dip in the price of that because I think it's worthless at that point. We have scaling Ethereum and beyond the merge. What happened to Ethereum 2.0? That's the primary question for the day. I think this is an important one because people seem to keep thinking that the merge is a signal of Ethereum becoming more scalable when in fact it's not. San Diego-based Edge unveils privacy-focused crypto card. This is interesting from the perspective of being able to liquidate your cryptocurrency in a more private manner. And we have the RTX 4090 rumored to be twice as fast as the RTX 4090, twice as fast as the 3090. We'll get into all that and more right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options including wire transfers to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services including trading and even staking to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. Welcome back, everybody. Stick around till the end of the show, and you can ask questions with either a super chat or, of course, tagging at Son of a Tech. I also have some community updates that I'm kind of trying to get figured out that I want to share with you guys. That being said, let's get into the first topic of the day. RTX 4090 rumored to be more than twice as fast. And let me fix this here too. It's fine. Bam. Boom. There's the article. We can do this. We do it every day. Let's go ahead and get the article going. I was live streaming on twitch.tv/blindrun yesterday and have a little bit of a different setup over there. Of course, I didn't get to stream for long because we headed over to the farm to fix a couple rigs. We'll talk about that too. NVIDIA's next generation GeForce RTX 4090 gaming graphics card is rumored to be more than twice as fast as the 3090, while the 4080 could be receiving a spec bump. The latest information was shared by Copite7 Kimmy, who stated that while the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090 graphics card specifications were the same as the ones he had posted earlier, the overall performance of the card has increased tremendously and now sits at over 2 times versus the existing RTX 3090 Behemoth. I don't know. Do you say Behemoth or Behemoth? How do you guys pronounce it? It's probably Behemoth, I feel like. The said performance is purely rasterization, so overall performance within game should vary, but still, that's a big leap versus what the last generation had to offer. It also means that NVIDIA is putting that TDP bump to good use since we are talking about a card that's expected to feature up to 450 to 500 watts TDP out of the box. Now, for miners, the problem that we run into is 2 big things. One is the new ATX 3.0 specification requiring an upgrade to your power supplies for mining, of course. And in addition to that, presumably we also have pretty much no change in the memory, albeit just with a slight memory speed bump, meaning the total bandwidth isn't going to be increased that much because the bus width was not increased versus the 3090. So while the performance will be a lot better from traditional rasterization perspective, meaning better in some applications and some games primarily that are going to be focused on core heavy type activities, the memory heavy activities, i.e. mining cryptocurrency, aren't going to see quite the same amount of improvements here. So you're not going to be seeing something like a double the hash rate type thing. I believe after we calculated out the predicted 4090 hash rate, you would be looking at somewhere around 150 to 175 megahash a second, depending on how fast they get that memory up to. That's not going to compensate for the massive 150 watt pump in power consumption. So it's really going to be up there, kind of questionable for a while from the mining perspective as I see it. From the power to, of course, hash rate perspective. That could be changed, of course, when we start talking about slightly more core intensive algorithms, maybe something like Flux, maybe something like Ravencoin as examples of those. However, those still do rely heavily on memory performance as well. More importantly, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090 is said to feature a cut-down 8102 Ada Lovelace GPU core, which means that the full variant, possibly a Titan or RTX 4090 Ti, could end up with much higher performance than the RTX 3090. This increase should also be expected considering that we are looking at over 70% CUDA cores than the RTX 3090 Ti, plus the clock speed, which are rumored to be much higher than the current generation thanks to the shift to the TSMC 4 nanometer process node. Remember, that's a modification of the 5 nanometer process node. It will also get a major uplift with the new architecture, which includes a meaty 96 megabytes of L2 cache versus just the 6 megabytes on the existing flagship. Now, that was one thing that we had pointed out that's extremely interesting is NVIDIA's decision to start pumping up that L2 cache. We're already aware that AMD started doing that on the RX 6000 series GPUs to leverage it via their Infinity Cache, kind of like Infinity Fabric setup. And it did prove out to be very, very good for traditional rasterization. However, we haven't seen any of that carry over into any sort of the crypto mining realm. If NVIDIA is also going to be bumping up these caches, these L2 caches, etc., and start utilizing those heavily, maybe we get to some point where we do see either some sort of new algorithm on the horizon that starts to leverage this. That would be my best kind of hope for, of course, this new kind of push for more cache on GPUs. Or maybe we see a piece of mining software be able to start leveraging this sort of thing as well and bump the hash rates up in other algorithms that are currently already available. I don't know though. That's just kind of hope and rumor, right? Besides the GeForce RTX 4090, Copilot7 Kimmy also states that the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080 is getting a spec update. Previously, the graphics card was rumored to feature a total board power of 350 watts, but this has now changed to 420 watts. No! Stop it! Stop pumping those nuts. It's the wrong number. Make the memory speed go up and the power go down, guys. Killing me over here. Which is a higher board power figure than the RTX 3090. The RTX 4080 is still going to utilize the 8103 GPU, a slightly more optimized variant of the 8104. This would also mean a 100 watt higher TDP than the existing RTX 3080, so the card could end up with some really fast specs and 380 watts at the wall while mining. That's Come on, guys. We also recently reported the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 with a total a TGP of 220 watts. We talked about that in yesterday's video. There should be a clip coming out for it as well. So just stay tuned for that, or go back and watch yesterday's video. We have that up and available for you if you want the details on the 4060 specifications. The NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090 Ti is going to be the full fat configuration with all of the 144 SMs enabled for a total of 18,432 CUDA cores. The GPU will come packed with 96 megabytes of L2 cache and a total of 384 ROPS, which is simply insane. The clock speeds are not confirmed yet, but considering that the TSMC 4nm process is being used, we are expecting clocks between 2 to 3 gigahertz range. As for memory specifications, the RTX 4090 Ti is expected to rock 24 gigabytes of GDDR6X capacities that might come at a faster 24 gigabits per second across a 384-bit bus interface, which would provide up to 1.152 terabytes per second of bandwidth. That's a 10% increase of total bandwidth over the 3090 Ti, which we know can get up to maybe, I guess, at best with proper cooling, 130 megahash a second. You take that, you take a 10% bump over that if they actually get up to 24 gigabits per second. And at the top model, really, you're just looking at getting close to about 150 megahash a second. But of course, with these crazy power numbers to deal with. Now, all these boosted specifications will result in higher power draw too, and the flagship is expected to operate at a total board power of around 600 watts. Also, it's important to note that if we are taking a look at the 4090, the memory specifications, there's pretty much no chance it goes over what the 3090 Ti currently is at with the 21 gigabits per second. So you can expect the 4090 to be around the 125 megahash a second as far as it pertains to ETH. And that's provided you have adequate cooling, right? Let's go. A single 6-pin or 16-pin Gen 5 connector should be enough, but most of the custom variants will definitely end up utilizing dual Gen 5 connectors since AIBs don't necessarily stay within spec, and even the slightest of factory overclocks will push the total board power above 600 watts, which is the limit of a single 16-pin Gen 5 power connector. We also have seen an alleged RTX 4090 Ti heatsink and cooler shroud, which hints at the use of a beefier cold plate that provides coverage for both the GPU and memory dies, along with an overall larger structure. The leaked cooler is a Founders Edition design, and judging by how big it looks, the AIB models will end up being vastly bigger, and we may end up with quad slot designs from all partners. This is another hurdle for cryptocurrency miners. Already with the 3000 series, you know, your 12 by GPU open air frame turns into an 8 by or a 9 by, right? Because you got these 3 slot cards. It's going to go down even further, right? These 12 GPU air rigs that you're currently running will run down to obviously only being able to fit 6 of them on a 12 card open air frame. So that's also going to impact, of course, designs on these server cases. And because we are in, you know, frankly, the crypto winter, the bear market, and there's a ton of uncertainty surrounding, of course, cryptocurrency mining as it pertains to GPUs, we're going to be hard pressed to find custom variants and motherboards that you slot in these server style cases that are going to support this kind of width on these GPUs. They didn't even ever get to the point of really fixing that for like the 3 slot GPUs. And it's going to be extremely difficult to convert to these. It's kind of rough. Now, at the lower end, of course, maybe that's not as big of a deal. Maybe the 4060 or something like that, or 4070 will be dual slot. They'll be good at mining. But as we saw, they're cutting down the bus width pretty significantly on the 4060. It's actually going to be a smaller bus width, slower speed. Give me a second. I got a little gremlin here. I'm popping in. Let me check. Hey, bud, I'm working right now. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I got the pancakes out there.
Oh, I'll come eat pancakes in a bit. Thank you. It's just my son letting me know that he has some pancakes ready for me and giving me a power supply bracket. So there you go. It is what it is. He said, this has to be yours. And wonder if this power supply bracket will work with ATX 3.0. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, the 4060 doesn't look promising due to a cut down on the bus width down to 128-bit. It's looking like the total bandwidth's only going to be around 320 gigabytes per second, which is significantly slower than both the 3060 and the 3060 Ti from a memory perspective. The NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080 is going to be cut down configuration with either the same cores as the existing GA102 part, but tuned with much higher frequency, or between 9,000 to 10,000, or 9,000 to 10,000, I assume is what they meant. Cores. Yeah, wait. That allows some room for a TI variant in the future with the full fat configuration. The GPU will come packed with 64 megabytes of L2 cache and up to 224 ROPS, which is simply insane. Apparently they like to say, which is simply insane. I love this guy. Who wrote this article? Hassan, I gotta tweet at him and be like, which is simply insane. I read your article today, which was simply insane. The clock speeds are not confirmed yet, but considering that the TSMC 4nm process node is being used, we are expecting 2 to 3 gigahertz range. The higher than usual clock speed bump comes from the fact that NVIDIA is making 2 node jumps, considering the Ampere GPUs with Samsung 8nm node was in reality a 10nm process node with some optimizations. NVIDIA is skipping 7nm and going straight for 5nm node, and not even the vanilla variant, but an optimized version of it. The Pascal on the TSMC 16nm node, NVIDIA delivered a huge frequency leap, and we can expect a similar jump this time around too. And I think that's pretty fair to say, because as we saw with the RX 7000 series, we had a huge bump in the frequency, and that was primarily due to the jump to 7nm. So jumping to 4nm means we should see, of course, a pretty big bump. So there you go. So as for the GeForce RTX 4080 is expected to rock 16 gigabytes of GDDR6X capacities that may come with 221 gigabits per second speeds. That would be similar to what the top variant is right now, the RTX 3090 Ti, across a 256-bit bus interface. That's a small bus for such an expensive, high-powered card, in my opinion, but it is what it is. This will provide up to 672 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. Now, all these boosted specifications will result in higher power draw too, and the flagship is expected to operate at a total board power of around 420 watts. Now, for 420 watts, a single 16-pin Gen 5 connector should be enough for both reference and custom models. As for the launch, the graphics card lineup is expected Q3 to Q4 2022, and they have a more detailed schedule there as well if you wanted to check it out. So they have some specifications already, like we see here. The 4060, like I was talking about, 128-bit. That's pretty disappointing. As far as the 4070, 192-bit bus, only 432 gigabytes per second. 672 on the 4080. And then once you get to the 4090, you get that 1 terabyte a second. I think these aren't going to be as good. I forgot what the 3080 is. RTX 3080 specs. I think I had this pulled up the other day because I was looking at this. 384-bit bus. That's the 3080 Ti. I want the 3080. Definitely won't be as fast as the 3080 Ti. I think this always has it listed pretty easily. 760. So yeah, even the 4080 at 672 gigabytes per second is going to be lower memory bandwidth than the 3080 because they had a 320-bit bus on the 3080. So really, like, honestly, you're looking at buying 3080s still from a mining perspective. Like, it's just, What is happening with the 40 series is what we saw from AMD on the transition from the 6000 series, or from the 5000 series to the 6000 series. Where essentially if you took like a 5700 XT and you took a 6700 XT, the 5700 XT made more sense from, of course, a mining perspective. Give me one more sec. Buddy, I got to finish this show. What's going on, dude? I'm working right now, but I can't do that.
I'm gonna set up the game.
Okay. What game?
I'm playing the new one.
Okay. So it's summertime, and I guess he has decided to come up with a plan of eating and playing board games and such. It is what it is. I apologize for the interruptions. That being said, it's pretty clear here that we are getting a downgrade from NVIDIA on the mining front, especially for memory-intensive algorithms. And it's really not dissimilar to what we saw, like I said, with the 5000 series to 6000 series jump. And a part of what is going on with that in particular appears to be the move towards compensating with L2 cache or larger caches. That's my perspective. I'd like to hear your perspective in the comment section below, as well as in the chat. All right, so San Diego-based Edge unveils a privacy-focused cryptocurrency card. This is like supposedly a debit card. Like you guys may be aware of, we have the Crypto.com card that I utilize pretty much all the time to liquidate assets and pay for things like rent, power, insurance, etc. for the farm. So that card has come in super duper handy for me in particular. I'm always kind of looking at these. This one's a little bit more interesting because it's supposed to have the privacy features attached to it. So let's take a look at it. The card doesn't require users to input any personal identifiable information to set up or use. This is dope, guys. San Diego-based startup Edge unveiled a crypto card that does not require any personal identification data to set it up or use at CoinDesk's Consensus 2022 conference, which is going on now in Austin. I couldn't afford to go there because the tickets are crazy, but I still kind of want to drive up there. I think it's tomorrow night. There was like an outside event for Algorand, I think, that I wanted to check out. Anyways, the Edge MasterCard supports Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, Litecoin, and Dash, but is only accessible to U.S. customers at launch, according to a Wednesday press release. Users do not have to pay any fees for the card, which has a daily limit of $1,000 and also supports online payment. The card can be used at any of the 10 million merchants across the U.S. that are on MasterCard's open loop network. Users can input any name under the billing address fields as long as it agrees with the shipping address, the statement said. The card uses technology by Iona, a fintech and payment startup, and is issued by Patriot Bank North America. Edge MasterCard is, quote, in compliance with all requirements for issuers, card associations, regulations, local, federal, and international laws, end quote, according to the press release. Founded in 2014 as Airbits, Edge is a self-custody digital asset exchange with $2.5 million in funding, according to a startup information platform, Crunchbase. I'm super stoked on this. Yes, the limits are not extremely high, but really all you're really looking for, at least for me, with something like this is just a card that allows me to do the daily purchases, maybe picking up a coffee, getting groceries, that sort of thing. I always get annoyed too when they start attaching my phone number and stuff to the cards, and you got all these new things that are trying to text you your receipt. And I'm always trying to figure out which system, how to unlink it and do all that sort of thing. Something like this would be super beneficial just from that perspective of having a way to go, not have any of your personal information attached to that card when you swipe it, and be able to go around and hit all of those Square app ones or whatever at the local coffee shop and not get tracked or whatever. I don't need a huge high amount of a daily purchase limit or anything like that to do stuff like that and kind of avoid some of these other kind of annoyingly intrusive payment systems, right? So I don't know. I think this is probably the coolest thing that's come out of consensus so far that I've seen. So I wanted to cover it. Obviously, it also kind of leans us into kind of more of those fundamentals of cryptocurrency. So I think seeing things like this for the public is good. And I think that this is in the proper direction, right? Even though it does interface with traditional finance, that sort of thing, I think that it is like pretty dang awesome. I was not expecting something like that, right? So pretty cool. ApeCoin community votes on keeping Ape token in Ethereum ecosystem. What are you guys doing? I don't understand this one at all. I don't understand this situation. Like we saw early on, I think with the land sale, right? We had the big old land sale from Yuga Labs. It crashed the network, not really crashed it, but caused fees to be so high that it was unusable for the average person. It congested it, made it slower. This was all like something they did with, the ApeCoin on the Ethereum ecosystem. You had to buy some ApeCoin, which is not a coin, it's a token. God dang it, it's a token. Let's make the distinction, even though they're going to call it ApeCoin. It does look like they're saying ape token in the article, so I appreciate that, bitcoin.com. But, it can get quite confusing. Once that went through and they experienced all the congestion and all the kind of issues surrounding utilizing, basically ERC20 on the base layer, that sort of thing, they were talking about moving ape token to its own chain and having ApeCoin. Now, I was pretty bullish on that from the perspective of, well, if anybody has the funding and the resources to create a new chain, it would hopefully be Yuga Labs, right? But I do understand the perspective of kind of moving off of Ethereum and then having to deal with getting integration into large NFT marketplaces like OpenSea. But I would think that ApeCoin would have like a large enough community and a large enough backers just from all the money that's been dumped into the project through NFTs that they would be able to fund something and get something working and OpenSea would adopt it. But it appears like that's not going to happen. The ApeCoin community is in the midst of discussing whether or not the crypto asset should remain within the Ethereum ecosystem. While AIP41 voting started today, the proposal's voting process will end on June 8th at 9 p.m. So that's tonight. We'll confirm tomorrow what this vote ended up being. But meanwhile, the project's native token Ape has lost 57% against the US dollar in the last 30 days. That's not really that surprising because kind of that's the entire market, right? This week, the ApeCoin community is voting on whether or not the native token ApeCoin should remain on the Ethereum blockchain. The voting process was announced by the official ApeCoin Twitter account in order to update the community. Quote, the proposal up for vote is AIP 41, which proposes ApeCoin to stay within the Ethereum ecosystem, end quote, the tweet explains. Voting ends next Wednesday, June 8th at 9 p.m. Eastern, so be sure to vote before then. The tweet also links to the ApeCoin improvement proposal, AIP41, which I guess we could take a look at just to be clear, but it's basically whether or not they're going to keep it on here. Let's go over this, though, before we get into the voting. All right, so Abstract Yuga Labs stated in a tweet that they believed ApeCoin needed to be moved to its own chain in order to scale. Remember, we reported on this, and I agreed with him. And we're also, this whole entire show is going to go together because we're also going to be talking about Ethereum scaling and if they're actually scaling, right? Quick tip, the merge isn't scaling, right? That's the whole problem here. So ApeCoin should at least, so they say we, the ApeCoin DAO, believe that at least for the time being, ApeCoin should remain within the Ethereum ecosystem and not migrate elsewhere to an L1 chain or side chain not secured by Ethereum. Here's the motivation. Migrating to different chain is costly, risky, and complex endeavor with many moving parts that may, if not thoroughly or thoughtfully considered, result in catastrophic loss or, at worst, abandonment by Yuga Labs and other entities that would otherwise be meaningful to ApeCoin. I understand that rationale, right? While Yuga Labs expressed a desire to move away from Ethereum after the other side deeds mint resulted in a big spike in gas costs, we, the ApeCoin DAO, believe that such a decision is currently too complex and costly to make. By migrating ApeCoin away from Ethereum, it would then find its home on a different chain than the original assets that inspired it, Yuga Labs' own NFTs, which obviously would be the entire point, because you would want to get off the ecosystem that is making it difficult for people to participate within your ecosystem. At least that's my perspective. This may have unintended downstream effects, they say, such as Yuga Labs no longer supporting or using ApeCoin in association with its NFTs like Bored Apes, Mutant Apes, or other side deeds. While gas costs and transaction speeds may be a concern for some on Ethereum, for all on Ethereum, unless you're ridiculously rich and actually own one of these things, I suppose. Especially when considering the desire to grow the ApeCoin system, moving it away from Ethereum ecosystem is neither necessary but potentially detrimental to ApeCoin holders and the interests of the DAO. Ethereum and its respective L2s, layer 2s, remain the largest collected ecosystem of NFT projects, builders, liquidity, and users. Moving ApeCoin away from this ecosystem could be detrimental to its health and the DAO's goals of growing the ecosystem. Many layer 2 solutions that are secured by Ethereum and exhibit meaningful improvement over fees and speed already exist and could potentially be explored in the future. These solutions include optimistic rollups such as Arbitrum and Optimism, or ZK rollups such as Starknet, ZK Sync, and Polygon. Note, L2 rollups differ from sidechains such as Polygon or L1 such as Avalanche in that they rely on their own security as opposed to Ethereum's consensus. There are a few examples of migrating an ERC20 and its attached ecosystem successfully to another chain, and there may be many risks of loss along the way. Ethereum's security remains second to none. Woo! Aren't these boys in for a surprise? Yeah, Ethereum's security is number one right now because it has the most hash rate, most distributed hash rate, and it's proof of work. So, maybe you want to migrate off of the most secure network before it becomes the least secured network in the ecosystem. Oh. Here's the specifications. ApeCoin must remain within Ethereum or within an L2 scaling solution that is secured by the Ethereum blockchain. While this proposal makes no such recommendation for ApeCoin other than remaining on Ethereum, it does not preclude subsequent AIPs from suggesting a move to an L2 scaling solution secured by Ethereum. Steps to implement. There are no additional steps to implement. Timeline and start date would be immediate, with any competing AIPs withheld until after the period of 3 months following the acceptance of this AP. Let's get more information on what happened here. So, for now, much of the discussion goes both ways, as some people agree with the ApeCoin DAO's opinions and others do not. Some individuals mentioned scaling solutions, which we already covered, and one person commented and said moving away from Ethereum is really the worst decision they can make. In recent times, Ethereum fees have dropped a great deal. They have dropped because there's not much activity on the network. That's why. And you know why there's less activity on the network? It's because less Ethereum is being minted. And there's less Ethereum being minted because there are less miners minting it because the difficulty is artificially increasing, thereby reducing the amount of transactions that are going. This is not good. That's what I'm saying. This is not good for Ethereum. It's not good that the fees are low right now. Because the fees are low because that is a direct correlation to the amount of usage the network is getting. To under $3 per transfer, but they're starting to rise again this week as the average gas fee is up to 0.0056 ETH or $9.87 per transfer. The cost to move an The cost to move an ERC20 asset like ApeCoin can be costly or more costly than a simple Ether transfer. ApeCoin's value has dropped a great deal as the crypto asset is down 77% from its April 28th all-time high, tapping $26.70 per ape. During the past month, Ape is down 57%, and 7-day statistics indicate ApeCoin has dropped 4.9% in value. Ape has an overall market capitalization of $1.77 billion US dollars today, and ApeCoin has seen 252 million in 24-hour global trade volume. Oh, so essentially this vote is going down. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. So we're going to get a little questionnaire go. We'll get our own AIP 41 vote going on. In favor, AIP 41. Are you in favor of AIP 41? I do want to point out that it is interesting that they are touting the security of the Ethereum network right before we go through a transition on Ethereum that basically makes it less secure based on the price of Ethereum. I've been thinking about this a lot more, and I'm going to be working a little bit more on a talking head video for the idea. But the base idea that I brought up before that I think is important to consider, and this coffee I think has some MCT oil in it, so excuse my throat. The problem is this, is that your incentive structure for security gets really jacked up with proof of stake, especially as it's being implemented by Ethereum. And that is because you are incentivized as a staker. If the price of the coin is low, your primary revenue comes from the price of the coin going up. So if you have a staked amount of ETH and the price goes up, you're more incentivized as the price goes up and demand for the network goes up to sell off your investment, your stake. That stake is specifically what is providing the security for the network. As opposed to that, when you look at proof of work, and this is just a very basic security incentive argument, when you look at proof of work, when the price of Ethereum goes up, you want to buy more cards. This is why traditionally you see a correlation on proof of work networks with the price, meaning the price of whatever said proof of work coin goes up, so does the hash rate on the network. They correlate in that manner. This is completely reversed when we're talking about proof of stake, because your primary investment is the coin itself. So as the coin goes up in price, you're incentivized to sell it off, thereby decreasing the security on the network. This is also more than likely why Ethereum has set it up to where, at least initially, there is no withdrawals enabled for staking. At least if you're not going through a third party. And if you're going through a third party, well, then you do not control, of course, your keys, and you're not really staking at that point. But it's a whole other rabbit hole that we could go down. And it continues because, like, the big argument for, of course, staying on Ethereum for ApeCoin is going to be the security, which is enabled by proof of work. Now we have them also having the issue of needing to solve scalability, which they can't solve currently on Ethereum. So what has happened to Ethereum, ETH 2.0? What's going on with sharding? Is any of this actually in the works anymore? Because if we look at like what's happening with the merge and so on, which today we're supposed to be getting the testnet merge, right, for Ropsten. So we'll be reporting on that tonight, I think. Once everything's gone through and we see the big news blow up, look for a video tonight on the channel. I'm waiting on that, keeping a close eye on it. But that is only going to change the consensus mechanism. It could solve fees, obviously fees going down, but does it solve scalability? Where are we at with all that? Well, scaling Ethereum beyond the merge, and then they're talking about dank sharding here. So dank sharding would take a massive step towards turning Ethereum layer 2 networks into first class citizens. So we've talked in the past editions of this newsletter about how Ethereum's roadmap initially planned to ship sharding alongside its switch to proof of stake consensus mechanism. While proof of stake would have decreased the network's energy costs, sharding would have been welcomed by users annoyed by Ethereum's slow transactions and high fees. Remember, the plan was called Ethereum 2.0. But it, along with ETH 2.0 moniker, have been retired in favor of a new roll-up centric roadmap. Remember, we were supposed to be getting all of these scalability features along with the merge. And I think it's hard to, obviously, everybody that watches the channel that comes from outside of the proof of work a realm, they come into this channel, they think like, oh, everything you have to say about the merge is purely because you are greedy, incentivized by proof of work. And I will always admit that I have a proof of work bias, as well as, of course, going to view proof of stake as something negative. And I have my reasons, and we kind of went over them. That doesn't mean, though, that when I talk about the fact that we are completely ignoring all of the scalability stuff, just going out into the ether, pun intended, and poof, magically disappear, that it's okay for the rest of the network, right? So even if you're pro proof of stake, you should be a little upset that you're not getting everything that was sold to you as part of this transition. The plan was called Ethereum 2.0. Yeah, we did that. The roll-up centric roadmap. This week, strap in for a slightly more technical summary of one of the more exciting developments currently slated to follow the merge, dank sharding. As it's currently formulated, dank sharding would take a massive step towards making Ethereum layer 2 networks like Optimism, Arbitrum, and ZK Sync into first-class citizens. So why roll-ups? Sharding was proposed over 5 years ago as a way to help the network scale by splitting activity across several different chains. Like adding lanes to a highway, splitting Ethereum's network into shards was proposed as a way to increase the amount of activity Ethereum could process, thereby decreasing the fees, improving transaction speeds. I do have a total in-depth coverage of sharding if you want to get into it, but it's kind of like reading something that's not going to happen, right? It's basically lore, but I do have an entire video basically deep diving what sharding is, how it functions, and all of that. It's interesting at least, but like I said, to a certain extent, it's like reading, I don't know, a fiction book, right, about cryptocurrency, because it doesn't seem to be what is ending up being utilized for Ethereum in particular. At least there are other coins that do utilize basically differently named versions of sharding most of the time, some sort of scaling, Polkadot, for example. Although Ethereum's developers generally agree that sharding is an important next step for the network, there are lots of competing ideas on how it should work. As a result, the would-be major update to Ethereum has proven difficult to implement. While sharding has been stuck in development hell, a handful of third parties have seized the ETH scaling mantle. And this is kind of where we start getting into side chains and layer 2 solutions. Now, from my perspective, we've talked about this before. You should have a very secure, it can be a slow moving layer 1, and then you can build everything on top of this. This is why you see things like the Lightning Network for Bitcoin, right? We have Bitcoin, slower, layer 1, will work, kind of future proof, that sort of thing. For daily transactions, you build into layer 2, you get the Lightning Network running. For custody and basically interactions with previous previous financial institutions or fiat run world, you move into layer 3. I've gone over all that. Michael Saylor covers it really good in the Lex Friedman podcast as well. It's a very long one, but you can listen to that too. Some of these solutions are basically just glorified sidechains, independent blockchains that can send and receive Ethereum network transactions. As an example, users can bridge token A to a sidechain, swap it for token B quickly and cheaply, and then bridge token B back to Ethereum. And this is a lot of what people refer to as interoperability and that sort of thing. A series of transactions that cost thousands of dollars on Ethereum can be done for pennies on Polygon, Ronin, and Gnosis. There we go. Since the transactions are taking place on the sidechain, they help keep some network traffic off of Ethereum. Higher traffic on Ethereum means higher fees for everyone. Of course, this convenience often comes at a cost. While easy to spin up and use, sidechains tend to make compromises to centralization and security in the name of convenience. Right. Which is why, once again, you kind of want this setup of sidechains and layer 2 solutions, and you still want a very strong, secure base provided preferably because of the incentives by proof of work. This is kind of how this plays out, right? Compared to sidechains, layer 2 rollups are considered by many developers to be the more secure way for Ethereum to scale. Rollups like sidechains take the stress off Ethereum by executing transactions on a separate blockchain. Transactions are settled on the rollup chain, bundled up, and then posted to Ethereum. Unlike sidechains, rollups borrow their security from the Ethereum mainnet. They use fancy cryptography and other methods like a multi-day dispute period to allow Ethereum mainnet nodes to confirm that transactions are legitimate. Compare this to a sidechain, which just passes data back down to Ethereum network with little more than a pinky promise that the data is true. If a sidechain gets exploited, in other words, Ethereum is none the wiser. As sharding has proven difficult to implement, rollups like Arbitrum and Optimism have picked up the scaling slack. These and other rollups are already enabling users to make certain kinds of transactions on Ethereum quickly and inexpensively without sacrificing security. Mind you, the Ethereum mainnet remains as slow and as expensive as ever. With these layer 2 networks set to handle the brunt of Ethereum's activity moving forward, sharding has become less of a priority for Ethereum developers who have shifted towards a new rollup-centric roadmap. So what's dank sharding and EIP 4844? The idea of sharding hasn't been put to bed yet. Enter dank sharding, and this is new to me, so I'm going to be learning this along with you guys. Proto dank sharding and EIP 4844. Dank sharding is the current design proposal for sharding on Ethereum, named for Dankrad Feist, the Ethereum researcher who initially proposed it. Dank sharding is sharding for a rollup-centric age. What follows is a high-level summary of a topic that's sure to earn more attention once the merge finally comes to pass. Rather than explain these topics in depth, which can get super technical, the hope here is to place them into a broader context. Way back in 2016, before sharding was deprioritized, shards were theorized as a way to increase the total number of transactions on Ethereum that could be processed. Dank sharding takes this same principle of splitting network activity into shards, but instead of using the shards to increase transaction throughput, it uses them to increase space for blobs of data. Dank sharding works using data availability sampling, a technique that allows nodes on Ethereum to verify large amounts of data just by sampling a few pieces of it. In essence, it allows Ethereum to process larger quantities of data than it could previously. A great breakdown of how this all works is in the incredibly informative and thorough Hitchhiker's Guide to Ethereum, which we will pin for later and I'll link for you guys, recently published by Delphi Digital. As Medium poster Paulinia, so I can't say that, summarized back in January, dank sharding turns Ethereum into a unified settlement and data availability layer. Transacting directly on Ethereum will still be possible, but dank sharding will pave the way towards a future when vastly cheaper and quicker layer 2 networks can thrive. These networks, which bundle up transactions before posting them back to Ethereum, will benefit the most from an increase to the amount of data that can be posted to the chain. Dank sharding, like the rest of sharding, is complicated. There are still plenty of kinks to work out and design decisions to be made before it will be ready to hit Ethereum's mainnet. In the meantime, proto-dank sharding is being proposed as a key first step towards dank sharding. Proto-dank sharding will come with Ethereum Improvement Proposal 4844, whose authors include Dankrad Feist and Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin. The proposal involves adding a new transaction type to Ethereum, the blob carrying transaction. As Feist and Buterin explained in a recent Bankless podcast interview, Ethereum blocks can currently carry 50 to 100 kilobytes of data, but under proto-dank sharding, they'll be able to carry closer to 1 megabyte. While this is less than the 16 megabytes that is projected under full dank sharding, a 10 times increase in data availability should significantly decrease the cost of using rollups. Dank sharding is still a long ways out, but proto-dank sharding is already being prototyped. The following is an overview of the network activity on Ethereum Beacon Chain over the past week. For more of an explainer, blah, blah, blah. We've been aware of all these charts before. And I think that's going to wrap it up as far as all that goes. I'm more interested in, of course, dank sharding and where it's going. So it looks like we'll have a whole new sharding lore video to cover, and I'll definitely add that to my list of things to cover as far as what their plans for scaling is outside of the rollups. We've been aware of the rollups. What does that mean though for you? If rollups are still a thing on Ethereum, what does that mean for you? Well, I think and obviously not investment advice, but it does mean that projects like Arbitrum, Optimism, those types of projects are safe bets for things that will be continued to be utilized because it's needed for the scaling portion. What does it mean for the merge? Not much, right? As far as network congestion, all that sort of problem, the scaling problems that Ethereum has, all those are still going to be present, which means it's good news, right? Because initially, a lot of people were going in and saying projects like Polygon, unnecessary, Arbitrum, Optimism, unnecessary. You don't need them because with the merge and with Ethereum 2.0, we're going to get the scaling. But that didn't work out to be true. So all those projects that did seem to be kind of essentially needless post-merge are now still needed post-merge. So I wouldn't worry about those going away, essentially is what I mean by that. So last topic, Bitcoin Bank Custodia sues Federal Reserve demanding decision on master account. I think it's important to be aware of this happening because it will have ramifications across the industry. But Bitcoin Bank Custodia today sued the Federal Reserve Board of Governors and the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, charging they have unlawfully delayed for 19 months acting on its application for a master account with the Federal Reserve. The bank chartered in Wyoming under a crypto-friendly statute passed in 2019, allowing for special purpose depository institutions, says the master account would reduce its costs and is vital to its core mission of providing a bridge between digital assets and the US dollar system. According to the suit, the Federal Reserve has a legal obligation to act within a year and states on its own paperwork that it ordinarily just takes 5 to 7 days to act on a master account application. Custodia's suit alleges that Kansas City's Fed processing of its application was moving along until the spring of 2021 when the main Federal Reserve got involved. The suit seeks to force the Federal Reserve and the Kansas City branch to act on its application and ultimately approve it. Should Custodia win its suit or otherwise be granted a master account, it would be the first Bitcoin bank to gain one. As central banks around the world seek to merge the best innovation that Bitcoin and other blockchain-powered currencies offer with the best of central management, the lawsuit and the Fed's reaction to it could help define the very future of banking. Through this lawsuit, Custodia seeks to ensure that its Federal Reserve Master Account application receives the fair dealing and due process guaranteed to it by both federal statute and the U.S. Constitution, said Custodia's bank's spokesperson Nathan Miller in a statement. Custodia has satisfied every rule applicable to it and has gone beyond by applying to become a Fed member bank. Custodia Bank was founded by Morgan Stanley veteran Caitlin Long in 2020 under the name Avanti Financial Group. Unlike traditional banks that generate the lion's share of their revenue from loans, Custodia was incorporated under Wyoming state regulations. Long helped write that would require this new kind of bank to maintain custody of the cryptocurrency it holds. In March of 2021, she raised a $37 million Series A from investors, including Binance.US, Coinbase Ventures, Morgan Creek Digital, Slow Ventures, and Susquehanna, bringing the total raise to $44 million US. Long became a detractor of so-called, I can't pronounce this, rehypothecation, when banks lend money to others who lend that money to others in the aftermath of the Great Recession, when a similar practice with subprime mortgages led to multiple claims of ownership over the same assets and obscured bad loans among bigger groups of loans. She was concerned similar behavior in crypto could undermine the value derived from Bitcoin's 21 million coin limit. An early advocate of Bitcoin, Long became one of the first mainstream bankers to make blockchain her career in 2016. We talked about her way back then too. And I think we've talked about her a few times on the show. When she left her position as a managing director at Morgan Stanley to join New York-based Symbiont, an enterprise blockchain startup founded by fellow early adopters of Bitcoin who wanted to capture the best of distributed ledger technology like blockchain, but in a way that respected privacy regulations and high volume large enterprises served. After helping onboard $7 trillion asset manager Vanguard among Symbiont's first clients, Long branched out to her own on her own to create a financial product directly leveraging Bitcoin. To fight the proliferation of rehypothecated Bitcoin, Long established Custodia to provide accounts for crypto businesses that would help them pay their employees and taxes, but would generate revenue by charging fees for services and other than loans. To do this, her bank would need a master account with the Fed. Like all federally chartered banks, that would in essence turn them into a direct line to the regulator. According to the statement, this was crucial to the bank's business model as it would allow them to sharply reduce its costs and bring new products and options to users for financial services. This delay in processing Custodia's master account application is resulting in substantial ongoing injury to Custodia, according to the suit. The immediate injury is that the delay has forced Custodia to defer its solo entry into the financial services market in favor of decidedly second best and far more expensive alternative, launching with a correspondent bank which has a master account, while Custodia awaits a decision on its long pending application. The filing further claims the Kansas City Fed received Custodia's business plan in May of 2020 and confirmed that Custodia's master account application submitted in late October of 2020 was complete. In early 2021, a representative of the Kansas City Fed informed Custodia there were no showstoppers with the application, according to the filing. Custodia's 44-page suit lists 8 claims for relief or ways the Fed could potentially resolve the case. The first claim raises a broader issue regarding the functioning of individual Federal Reserve banks and whether they are subject to rules for federal agencies, including Administrative Procedure Act and requirements for due process. The suit says that if the Kansas City Federal Reserve is considered a private entity, it either can't make final decisions on the issuing of master accounts without review by the Federal Reserve Board, or when it is exercising governmental powers, is subject to the higher level of scrutiny provided to government actors. The Kansas City branch of the Federal Reserve declined to comment on the suit. Initially slow to act on the innovations underlying Bitcoin, which allow value to move without central authorities, the Federal Reserve has largely let other countries take the lead on incorporating the lessons learned. In 2020, China started public trials of its own central bank digital currency, and the Fed itself has expressed interest in letting the private sector innovate in the form of so-called stablecoins that are backed by assets like the US dollar, but created by private companies. In 2020, Long revealed her own plans for what would amount to a stablecoin, but since she was planning on a Fed account, it would be akin to a digital cashier's check, which could have resulted in regulated digital dollar. In May, a stablecoin backed in part by Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency called Luna, and stabilized using an algorithm that controlled supply called Terra USD, collapsed, erasing $60 billion worth of value and leading to calls for more regulation of the space. Bipartisan regulation proposed this morning, that was yesterday by the way, by U.S. Senators Kirsten Gillibrand and Cynthia Lummis, would in part see to concerns in the suit if implemented. Among a number of sweeping requirements, the Responsible Financial Innovation Act would require that the Fed issue routing numbers to depository institutions, prohibits federal banking agencies from delaying applications under existing law, and requires that they decide on all applications within a year. Obviously, timing is the problem here. And, this is across cryptocurrency as a whole right now. Getting approvals now in Texas to build mining farms, getting approvals to get power installed, especially with like everything surrounding the current situation of shortages and supply and all of that. Capital's running out. Obviously, if she was I feel the pain, right? Because a lot of what I've been waiting on as far as like ventilation, power, that sort of stuff, has now drawn out into the crypto winter, has now also made it to where like a lot of my like assets that were in crypto that were ready to reinvest once I had more power have kind of gone away due to the decrease in price. It makes it extremely difficult. And especially because, as we can see now, let me look at this. Mining profitability. Let's run the ad and we'll get into it. Looks like I have more rigs down. Yeah. It's getting really, really hot, boys. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rigs all saying NA on hash rate. Look at that. That's bad. It's getting really hot outside. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. Bam! All right, so as far as profitability goes, all my rigs are technically running, but now it's hitting the hot part of the day. I just bounced those 5 rigs. I'll probably have to go out there. I know of one that won't come back up. We're still over 4.39 gigahash, or over 4 gigahash. That is resulting in 0.06 ETH for the day and 131 ZIL, which is a total of 116 US dollars. So not terrible, much better than yesterday. I did do a motherboard replacement on one of the rigs. That'll be on the channel tonight as well, or maybe tomorrow. It really I think obviously the Ropsten testnet does trump, in particular, this. And it looks like we did get all the rigs back up except for 2. So that's not bad. We'll see where it goes from there. But 2 are showing offline still. I just did a quick reboot while we were here. That being said, We are going to be doing a lot of farm content over the next couple weeks. So if you're interested in farm content, make sure you're staying tuned to the channel because a lot of it is coming over the next couple weeks. Because there are a lot of changes going on over there. Now, hash rates, what changes are we seeing on the network? Ethereum still at 235 exahash a second, or Bitcoin, sorry. Ethereum, probably 1.06 petahash a second. The difficulty increase is going to continue. I did want to discuss that as well. Depending on what happens today, we may see a defusing of the difficulty bomb and profits come back up. We will know Friday. I think we would get an announcement from the devs. So there is hope for short-term profits running up to the merge if they decide to defuse the bomb, which I think they may do personally. Because what are we already at, right? I think, yeah, the average block time is already well over 14 seconds at 14.37 seconds. So there is a potential that they go ahead and delay that bomb out a couple months still. Ethereum Classic, 25.72 terahash, no real change. Flux, 1.56 mega solutions a second, no real change. Ergo, it's up 15.34 terahash a second. No real change from yesterday, just up from its lows. Excuse me. Ravencoin, 2.79 terahash a second. A little bit of a boost here recently, but that could just be briefly. What to mine? RTX 3090. Adjusted values, 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Sarah, 290 a day in revenue, 211 a day after power. Ethereum, 255 a day in revenue, $1.79 a day after power. Ravencoin, 234 a day in revenue, $1.54 a day after power. Xano, 229 a day in revenue, $1.50 a day after power. Firo, 218 a day in revenue, $1.43 a day after power. Conflux, $2.12 a day in revenue, $1.32 a day after power. Ergo, $1.98 a day in revenue, $1.36 a day after power. Flux, $1.83 a day in revenue, $1.13 a day after power. If you mine it, I think from NiceHash, it's a little bit more at $2.01 a day in revenue, $1.31 a day after power. Ethereum Classic, $1.80 a day in revenue, $1.03 a day after power. And Rio, $1.79 a day in revenue, $1.16 a day after power. Periods. Mining pool profitability for the past 90 days. F2 pool in first, mining pool up in second, Ether mine in third. Last 60 days, crazy pool in first, Ether mine in second, F2 pool in third. Last 30 days, crazy pool in first, Ether mine in second, nano pool in third. Last 21 days, ZET in first, F2 pool in second, mining pool up in third. Last 14 days, ZET in first, mining pool up in second, nano pool in third. Last 14 days, ZET in first, mining pool up in second, nano pool in third. Last 7 days, mining pool up in first, F2 pool in second, nano pool in third. Last 3 days, mining pool up in first, F2 pool in second, Hivon in third. And for the last day, mining pool up in first, ZET in second, and F2 pool in third. ASIC mining hardware. All right. IB Link 3123. KD6 2567, it's up a little bit. That's nice to see. L7 2665 a day after power. Scrolling down, the S19 Pro is still around that $7 mark. Actually, it's pretty bad. Digibyte at 632 a day after power. Remember, tagging at Son of a Tech makes it easier for me to read. We have a few minutes, not really much time for questions and answers today. We had a lot of big topics. I think they were all very necessary. I want to thank everybody for breaking 500 concurrent viewers today as well. That's amazing. And then our poll, let's go ahead and finish this poll up here too. Are you in favor of AIP 41? Remember, if you're in favor, it means that you are in favor of them staying on the Ethereum blockchain. 70% say no in our chat. 29% say yes. I find that interesting because the community over at, of course, ApeCoin think that they should stay on Ethereum. I trust you guys more, though. I'm just saying. I trust you all more. I think they should have their own chain. I think they have enough money they could sell one stupid f***ing monkey and fund the whole development of a new chain. I just they make their own chain, Brian Nichols. That's what they do. They make their own chain. Oh, super chats never required, always appreciated, much needed right now too, by the way, guys. So I appreciate them the most. As far as ad revenue, it's in the dirt. I'm probably going to be talking about it this week. I'm kind of into freak out mode because I also am not getting any, I'll talk about that later, but let's just say some things are not working out like the contracts had said they were going to work out. So I'm kind of I'm in a pickle, boys. I'm in a pickle. I'll be talking about that pickle probably this weekend. A couple notes. We are going to move clips back to this channel. I did a poll over here and a poll on Twitter. That is because moving those over at the same time as the bear market dropped the revenue on the channel by 50%. I can't survive on that. The clips channel, I think we're going to convert to a vlogging channel. It's going to be more politically heavy surrounding cryptocurrency. So if you like the politically heavy stuff, it's going to be over there. It's a niche that I don't think a lot of people cover. I think that a lot of cryptocurrency YouTubers are scared of it. So we're going to go ahead and tackle it. We're going to take care of it. And you may agree with me, you may disagree with me, but I would encourage you to definitely help me learn and grow, because that's personally, like, I'm pretty fluid on like idea changes and so on. I have a couple base layers. We'll probably start those kind of base layer ethics, morals, whatever those things are. We'll go into like some more philosophy driven talks and so on over there. But yeah, we have a $5 super chat from IATG 2001. $5 super chat says, why not switch some of your farms rigs over to Ergo? On RTX 3070, for example, there's only 1 cent difference between ETH and Ergo. I wasn't having that same problem. I don't know. First of all, liquidation, but second of all, I within 1 penny, I'd have to test that out again, but I was not having that problem. I was not basically having Ergo that profitable. Rocco says, ask Scientific opinion on Super Zero. I don't have an opinion on it. I do not trust it. It's not one where I go out there, I can find simple information on. It's hard to liquidate, and I kind of stay away from it. Gabe says, ask Scientific, what do you think of the mining neta on Ergo, or the Ergo plus Comet? You mean by doing like their subpooling stuff? I think the net is really interesting. That comes out Saturday, right? Let me go see if I can pull that up. That I have on my calendar for I have on my calendar to cover. But to give you guys an idea, there will be like a subpooling that happens with a token that will be on Ergo. And what is going to happen is that they are going to give additional payouts. So in theory, you'll get 22% more than expected mining Ergo, albeit you'll be getting it in this other token. The launch for it is on Saturday. Now, Saturday, I have my jiu-jitsu gym summer barbecue where they do all the promotions and stuff. So I'm going to be going to that. And then I'll be getting home and trying to cover exactly how that's going to happen. But thanks for bringing that up. It is already, I literally have a calendar event in my calendar for the release date to talk about it. Steven says, hey, thanks for the $10 super chat. Steven says, hey, Asamatech, have you looked at Neox? It's a play to earn coin, as well as Kapow coin. You can currently connect to their Rust server and have some fun and get paid to do so. Coin is on TextBit. No, I haven't. That is interesting. I'll add it to my info. Neoxa. Got it. Ted Park says, Ask Asamatech, do you automatically try and restart dead miners when the hash rate on the machine drops to 0? Yeah, so you can set up like hash rate watchdogs. You got to be a little careful with that. I'm very cautious on the hash rate watchdogs. I set it to like almost 0. So, but right now, because of the heat and stuff, what I don't want to do is not, I'm babying all the miners. I'm like straight up babying them. So I'm not running them into the ground. I'm not really doing any overclocks. I'm babying the crap out of them. We'll be talking about that this week. For sure. Ted Park, thanks for the $20 Canadian, says, oh, already did say that. We answered that. Patrick says, Ask Asamatech, sorry, lost connection earlier. Did you get my super chat about exchange not working for me? No. It might have been too early. Make sure that the super chats come in near the end of the show if you have a question attached to them. Super stickers also, apparently, if you don't have anything to say, you want to donate to the channel, they apparently boost the algorithm. That's what I've been told by my YouTube rep. So if you want to hit that and donate in that manner, I don't know. I think super chats are the same though. I don't really know. YouTube's weird. Like sometimes they're like, hey, live streams are the #1 thing that are going to drive your channel. And then other times they're like, don't do live streams. And then they're like, do super chats. No, don't do super chats. Do super stickers. I think they don't. I think they just kind of like are playing around back there, playing around with our living, playing around with our their monetary policy like Ethereum, bro. Detroit Iris says, Ask Asamatech, don't forget when we all switched to Ergpool had their update issues. Yeah. Well, that's true. So Erg could be more. Well, I was mining it. No, I tried solo. That's for sure. I will be moving over to probably Neta this weekend though. Probably move the whole farm, to be honest. Ryan Musa says, Ask Asamatech, mining on Phoenix using Hive on pool. My one rig keeps randomly dropping hash rate by half on my 3080. How would I go about diagnosing? Why are you using Phoenix Miner? I'd dump Phoenix Miner first. Dean says, Ask Asamatech, BTCS37 Mobo got turned off on a Windows update. I've tried reinstalling Windows, but once I get into the boot screen, it just blacks out. I then switched to Hive and my GPUs are not showing up. Check the BIOS and see if they're showing up in the BIOS, I suppose. It sounds like maybe a bad driver, though, possibly. I don't know. It's hard to diagnose that. Panzer sent a 99-cent super sticker. Thank you, good sir. Gaming Vid says, let's see, did I miss one? Yeah, says, how was testnet today? I don't know yet. We'll be covering it tonight once we get, the full update from Tim on one of his Twitter threads or whatever. Patrick says, Ask Asamatech, I've been trying to exchange the remainder of my ETH to Bitcoin, but every attempt pens for hours, then fails. Where are you trying to exchange it on? Talon says, Ask Asamatech, YouTube built an AI, but they don't know how it works. They just go running nuts. Ryan Musa says, Ask Asamatech, Phoenix was listed in one of your videos when you started. Which miner would you recommend? Yeah, so mining obviously accelerates pretty, obviously things are changing a lot all the time. Phoenix is pretty outdated. That would have been, probably 2020, 2019. And then also that was primarily good for AMD GPUs. So primarily like your Polaris GPUs and so on. I think right now, if you're going to look at a miner for RTX 3080s, you're looking at T-Rex or LOL miner. James Ferguson, thanks for the $10 super chat. Says any help or advice on sites to use or to update the GPU BIOS. Tech Power Up is going to have a list of all your GPU BIOSes. So head to Tech Power Up and go ahead and pull whatever BIOSes you need. They're going to have all of that kind of listed there. So you can just look up your card. Another super sticker from Panzer. Leia Chow says, is ETH plus ZIL more profitable than ETH alone? Not necessarily, no. What you're doing is you're just getting some ZIL. And there's like, basically, there's just some NFTs I was playing with on ZIL. Billy says, ask Simon Tech, so the hardware requirements to mine Ergo are the same as ETH. Pretty much. The overclocks pretty much stay the same too. There's slight changes that you can do to them, but it's pretty much the same across the board. The positives is Ergo is by far the most power conservative algorithm right now. So it generates the least amount of heat as well. So Ergo is very nice to mine from a infrastructure standpoint. Harvey says, ask Tech, what is better post-merge GPU mining, 3080 Ti or 3090? 3080 Ti because you don't have to worry about cooling the memory modules on the rear of the GPU on the 3090. Leonardo says, ask Tech, my country's banks just locked out all crypto purchases via credit cards. What do you think the community can do to appeal the reversal of this decision? I don't know what the community can do. Obviously, we talked a little bit about this yesterday in yesterday's evening video. Go check that out and sign that petition, but that is US based. I think US will have an influence over that though, so I think it's relevant. But you just have to decide whether or not you're going to continue to use cryptocurrency and then just decide to sell it directly, right? Thanks for the $10 super sticker, Bojangles. And Jay Miner said Ropsten just merged. Da, 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 da. 5 days ago, 1 week ago, 3 hours ago. Most people are saying last night or tonight. How do you even track it? On Twitter, probably. Ropsten. Yep. Beacon Chain. And Tim says, we have some transactions included in post-merge Ropsten blocks. I think it's going to take us a while to really know what happens with it, though. So we'll give it a little bit. I got to call it. I'm headed to class. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Hit the like, comment, subscribe, notification bell down below. Be sure to check back on the channel and share it out with all your friends, family, and all of that goodness. I'll see you next Tuesday. Ropsten's merged. Woohoo! Oh, a $20 super chat. Let me catch it. Twisted Blockchain says, ask Simon Tech, you should start a consulting service. Comments on Twitter if you want to bounce some ideas. Would have paid thousands to have been able to learn what I've learned the easy way. Hey, man, I just want to make it easy for people on the internet. Thank you, though. Harvey Weinstein. Let's see. $1.99 super chat from Harvey. Thermal pad versus copper plates. Thoughts and experience. Copper plates have the highest potential for reward and the most risk. I'll see you next Tuesday. I gotta go.